Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you a bunch of different grading services from around the UK to hopefully answer some questions around which service you should use or you could use, and also how they compare to a company like PSA, for instance, including their slabs and their labels and their security and verification and all of that lovely stuff. What I will be doing in this video is going through the cost of each of the grading services, the time frame you're looking from sending it to receiving it, the security and verification of each of the services and the companies, what they provide, and then lastly looking at the labels to see which one is my favorite, which obviously is going to be biased, but you can determine which you prefer from this video hopefully as well. And then lastly we'll go through all my thoughts and feelings around these services and how they compare to a global giant like PSA. So there is a whole load of different grading companies within the UK. I've just picked my 5 favorites who I personally might be using, and here is a quick look at a PSA card just to give some comparison to. And also most of the grades are very similar, they're all around about an 8. Most of them are graded 8, but some are 7s and one of them is a 9, so hopefully you'll be able to see the quality of this card and see why it's graded an 8 with some of the whitening around the edges, and also see a comparison with the grading to see if you agree that the grading should be that grade. So anyways, here's a PSA slab. We're also going to be looking at Get Graded, and here's their slab. We're also looking at Poker Grade, and once again here is their slab. We're also looking at Good Bros, however they're currently not trading. I'm not sure if they're ever going to come back to trading, but still a good name just to recognize, just in case they do come back. We also have MGC, also known as Majestic Grading Company, and we also have, of course, Ace Grading. So let's start off with cost, going from least expensive to most expensive. So least expensive, starting with Get Graded, who have a cost of $9.99 per card. Then we have Ace Grading, who charge £10 per card. There is a 5 card minimum, but I don't actually think that's a lot of cards, especially when most people grade quite a few cards. Then we go to Poker Grade, who charge $12.49 a card, which has just recently gone up. Then we have Majestic Grading Company, who charge $12.99. Then we have the Good Bros, who charge a little bit of a weird sort of one here, but if it's graded between 1 and 7, they charge £15 per card, and if it's graded an 8 or higher, they charge £20 per card. So that can be quite expensive and also a little bit different way of doing it. Now, the most expensive currently is PSA because the lowest service they charge is $150 per card. Now, there is rumors this will be going down in the early of next year and potentially down to $50. Some say $25. Some even say their bulk price of $10 per card might be coming back. But they're all rumors. However, I do see it going down, but it still might be the most expensive out of this range, even next year. Now we're going to take a look at time, coming from the quickest to the longest, or in this case, this one is obsolete. It's just here for reference. So the quickest to the longest in waiting times to get your cards back. Starting with Ace Grading, who have 60 days on their website. So this is taken from their website and their promise rather than an example of each of them that I've personally experienced or some other people have, just because the experience varies quite greatly. So I'm just going based off their website and what they basically promise from their service. So Ace Grading say 60 days as an estimate. Then we also have MGC that say between 2 and 8 weeks. Now that is quite a big difference between 2 and 8 weeks. So I'll take it with a pinch of caution and go more towards the 8-week mark. Then we've got Poker Grade, who also say 6 to 8 weeks. I'll once again look towards that 8-week mark. We've also got Get Graded, who is the exact same as Poker Grade, between 6 and 8 weeks. And then PSA is kind of a question mark, because even at the $150 mark, I still believe it takes a few weeks, even months, to get your cards back. And we all know from the bulk service, which I've currently got some cards in right now, I believe I'm 11 months deep into the PSA bulk service from 11 months ago. And I'm still expecting to wait a few more months until I get my cards back. So as we know, it goes over a year for PSA, hence why they're last. And now let's talk about security and authenticity, because in my opinion, that is the whole purpose of a grading company, to prove that the card is authentic and of a certain quality, in which obviously the grade gives you. Now, this is worthless if you don't trust the company or it can't prove that this is in fact the card they received and graded. Now, there's a few things that different companies do, like for instance, Ace Grading is a great example that they've done quite a few things differently to basically make sure that this card is authentic and that you can trust this card and this slab. So they've of course made a different slab to PSA because, as we know, the PSA slab most companies use, and you'll see this in this video, but Ace Grading is different. They have their logo on the bottom here. It's a different size, a different shape. It has a bigger sort of label up here that has some QR codes on the back. On the front, it also has this label that can't be replicated apparently with the color and also the images, which is very gives me a lot of confidence. You also have this holofoil in the Ace Grading, so very, very nice slab, very nice label. It does have the security. Now with the QR code, we're going to scan it to see what information it provides. So I've got my phone here. We're going to take it over the QR code. It's going to register it. I'm going to click on it, and then boom, we get our certificate number. If we go down, it tells us some information about the code. It's a 2000 Ponyta from Team Rocket first edition, which it is, which is good. It's graded 8, which it is. Near mint to mint. It's a standard label. It tells us a bunch of information, but technically you could have the exact same Ponyta from Team Rocket first edition and switch out the cards and you wouldn't know. Now, I know that's very, very hard to do, but I mean, if you wanted to go through all of the effort to replace this card with a fake, you could, and when you search on it, there's no way to actually say this card in this slab is the card that got graded. Now, obviously that does require a lot of work and effort to do it without damaging, of course, the label or anything, but if someone wanted to go to that extent, they potentially could, but as I mentioned, it's going to be very, very difficult because there are some unique things around this slab which others don't do. So I think the security is pretty damn strong. Now let's take a look at the PSA slabs. Now the reason I call these the PSA slabs is because PSA use these slabs and so do loads of other companies, including of course MGC. Now the issue with this is because anyone can buy these slabs, and because of that, technically I could break this slab, take out the authentic card and the label, put in a fake card in a brand new slab with that label, seal it up if I had the equipment obviously, and then people might be fooled to thinking that this fake card is real because it's been graded, or it looks like it's been graded. Now that obviously is a massive security risk. It does cost quite a lot of money to go to those extents, but there are some cards that are very valuable and it might be worth trying to pull off a fake in that instance. So that is something definitely to think about. Now what MGC has done is with their label to make it as authentic as possible and also anti-tamper proof, they've got some provisions including of course their holofoil backing sticker, which is very, very nice, I must say. But they also have some NFC technology in the card. So if your phone has NFC technology and you turn it on and then you tap it to the card, you'll see that it brings up a website. And when I go to that website, it's MGC and it tells me some information about the card. Now, granted, it doesn't tell me a whole load of information, but it does confirm the number, it does confirm the grade, and that it's authentic. Once again though, if I went to the extent, I could just take this out and change the card to a fake one that looks very similar and obviously is the same type of card, and then this would just tell me that it's authentic. But the good news is you couldn't replicate the label itself because the label is linked to their website and their catalog. So that does mean that this card is in fact true unless I've gone through the lengthy process of taking it out without damaging it and taking the label with it. And next up we have PokeGrade, and once again this is a PSA slab which looks identical because it is identical to the last one. Now they have a very nice, I really like their label, a label that has a lot of holofoil. It also has some stickers which I've been told can't be replicated, which is very good, and it also does have a QR code very similar to PSA. Now if I scan this with my phone, so I should put this down, give it a scan, click on the website, it'll take me to their website. However, the page can't be found, which obviously isn't ideal because this might make you think, oh my god, is this real? But what you can do on their website is search the number, which mine is 1600 exactly, and it'll bring up this card. Well, you wouldn't believe it, but their website is currently down to show the verification of this. However, it's very basic information around the grade and what card it is, and it doesn't show any pictures of the card. It just says what it basically is on the label. And now we have Get Graded. Now with theirs, once again, exactly the same PSA slab. However, they don't actually have any QR code or anything like that to sort of verify that this is the card on the actual slab itself. Now, with that being said, they do have a fairly basic kind of label, which means if you had a good enough printer that could print on black paper with silver writing text, you could potentially even duplicate this label. Now, of course, it does have holofoil on the back, which does look very nice, and this is the security sort of aspect around it. However, I do believe that even this is possible to replicate at home. So this label, in my opinion, is one of the least secure because people could actually even print this. They wouldn't even need to break the slab to get this label to then put in a fake. They could just literally print this label and make their own and say, yeah, all of my cards I've got from Get Graded and they're all graded a 10 and they're all authentic, which is kind of worrying, but yeah. And now we've got Good Bros. So once again, PSA slab. There's not too much to this label. It does have a little bit of holofoil, obviously, on the stars, which is rather nice, but it is still fairly basic. I wouldn't say it's too hard to replicate this. Now, on the back, once again, still fairly basic. It does have a QR code, so we're going to get it out of the phone again. And if we scan this guy, click on the website, it'll take us to the website, hopefully eventually, and then boom! We have got the Pikachu V, the grade, the date is graded, which is actually very, very good as well. We've also got the card number and also a population report. So this is a little bit more information than some other companies that we've obviously tested so far, which is very good. But still, this doesn't show any pictures or any proof that this is the same as this. It just says that this is obviously a Pikachu V. So if we switched out this Pikachu V with any other card, even a lesser graded card that had more whitening, you would still think this is the same card. So once again, very, very skeptical, very, very hard to do, obviously, and obviously not many people go to the effort of doing it, but it is possible. And now we have PSA. Now, even though I've said all the PSA slabs are the same, PSA's is slightly different. Now, what makes it different is at the bottom here, you might be able to see a little PSA that's engraved into the bottom. So that obviously is very unique just to PSA. It's also done on the other side, you can see here. And then also with their label, you might be able to see there's a hint of blue. You might be able to see that's in there. That has a PSA behind it to make it a little bit harder to replicate. So it's not necessarily just a one layer print. It has multi-layers, which makes it very unique. We have holofoil here as well. We also have holofoil in different sort of places. And this also says some writing behind the holofoil to make it a little bit harder. We also have a QR code, so I'll get my phone once again. So if we scan this QR code, there we go. Click on the link. Now this will take you to PSA's website for your card. But what I absolutely love and gives me the most benefit of security and also, verification that this is in fact this card and it's verified is it's got pictures. You'll see that every other company we've seen so far doesn't have pictures. Now, if we take a look at these pictures, if it loads, and let's scroll to the back. The back is going to be the best one for an example. Now, if I quickly just make this focus a little bit better so I can bring this closer, you might be able to see there is a little nick above the K in this picture. Now, if I put this down and bring up my card, you can see there's a little nick above the K. Now, there's a few other nicks here, there, and everywhere, which do resemble what's on, of course, the picture. And I can say for certainty that this is one-for-one likeness. Now, this is my card because I have pictures of it and it matches up exactly. Now, this will be slightly harder to do if it is a 10, obviously, because if it's a 10, there's hopefully going to be no real issues, but this shows up all the flaws the exact same on my phone, so I can be 100% certain that this is an authentic PSA card and this is the card that came with the grading of PSA. So we've looked at price, we've looked at times, we've looked at security and verification around the card and the slab and the label. Now let's look at the labels purely just on looks. So what I've done is I've put them in order from my favorite to my least favorite. I'll give some explanation around this real quick. I'll also reorder them to what I've asked a few people what they think, and I'm going to put in the average in terms of what they think in order as well, just to see what your opinion is. Obviously, everyone will have their own opinion to what they prefer looks wise, but this is mine. Now, the reason I've gone with Pokegrade at number 1 is because I love the holofoil. I love the simplicity of it. Very, very clean, really, really nice. And also another reason is it's very similar to PSA. Now, the reason I like this is because I do have a lot of graded PSA cards, and when I display them, they'll probably be side by side with some other graded companies. So I want them to be as similar as possible and also look very nice together. And in my opinion, these two look very, very nice together. Now, the reason I've gone for Ace grading next is not necessarily only the label, but also the slab is really nice. It's a little bit thicker than all of the others. It's also got that clean look of this clear all the way around. And I have to say that Pokegrade's new slabs are also clear. So imagine the clarity of this card on this sort of slab with this label. I think that'll look awesome. And also they have a little PG, I believe, engraved at the bottom for extra security, which is awesome. But back to Ace grading. Now, I really like once again, the simplicity of the label. Looks very, very clean, very, very neat. You've got the security on the back, and I think it looks very, very nice. The only issue is that it's quite different to PSA and all the others, where it stands out. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's just I would want all of my cards graded to look the same if it's like this. So I'd have to put all my cards through Ace grading. But because I have some through PSA, I think they just clash a little bit too much, which is a little bit of a negative, but I still really like the label and the look, hence why it's at the second spot. Now, PSA is just a card I guess I know, and that's why I've put it in the middle, just because I know the card, I know the look of it, and I've got used to it. It's not necessarily the most attractive, but in terms of what I've got here, it's definitely one that catches my eye, and, you know, it's still relatively clean. Now, next up, I've got the Good Bros. And the reason for this is because, once again, it's just simplistic. It's easy to look at, it's easy to read. It doesn't take focus away from the card. It just looks very clean and neat and very easy on the eyes. Now, let's look at Get Graded. Now, the reason I have this so low is because of the subgrades. Now, I'm not a massive fan of subgrades in general. The reason for this is because maybe I've got like a little bit of OCD, and because I have an 8, is that a 9? That is a 9. So we've got an 8, 8, 9, and 7.5 to get the average of an 8. That annoys the bejesus out of me. I would love to see an 8, 8, 8, and 8. But the likelihood of that is going to be very, very rare, and that would drive me crazy to have all different numbers on one sort of tab. Now, I do like the fact that it does tell you where the grading's obviously gone down to get the grade where it's at, but I would like to see this on the website and not on the label, because I think it'll look cleaner. For my OCD, I'll be okay with it, and also I have that extra bit of information on the website to once again verify this card is this card. But once again, I would love to see pictures from all these companies. Now, this label is one of the most interesting because of the NFC feature. However, that just doesn't do it for me enough. This looks like a football card. I'm from England. This looks like the Premier League logo, and I can't get that out of my head. And when I have that next to my Pokemon card, it just doesn't work in my mind. I just don't like it. It just looks, I don't know, it just looks out of place. And because of that, it's my least favorite. But let me know what's your favorite label down below in the comments. Now, if anyone is interested, I asked a bunch of people that aren't in the world of Pokemon. I asked what is their favorite label out of the ones that we have here. And this is the order they gave back to me, or the average they gave back to me, where Get Graded was always number 1, in fact, and this one was pretty much always last as well, which I found very, very interesting. Now, these 3 seem to be always in this order. So these are our strong top 3, and these 3 would sometimes, you know, flip between these two, but in general, this is what most people thought of the best label to the worst label. Now, I personally think it's because of the black. Is very clean, very easy, and also looks very professional. And then with some of these, you also have the same sort of look with the professional. It just has text, it has the number. And then when you get to these ones, there's just something a little bit different about them, which isn't necessarily bad, but I can understand why people will see it and not necessarily think it looks as professional as maybe like a label like this. And finally, guys, my final thoughts and opinions of these grading companies and their service. Now, this will come down to a few things. If firstly, you're only grading cards to make a profit, if you're going to sell them and try and make a profit, there's only one company you want to use, and that's PSA. Even though there's wait times and everything around that, if you can't wait, then obviously don't go for this company. But if you can wait and want to make a profit, this is the only company you want to use because they're trusted, they're well known, and it holds so much weight if it's graded with PSA. Now, the other one is just looks. If you're not looking to sell, you're only looking to hold on to these for your own personal collection, then it only comes down to the looks of the label. I wouldn't even say security is a big matter in that regards, because if you're not looking to sell them, you don't need to prove they're authentic because you know these are the cards you sent in and they're purely just to get a label, just to encase them, protect them, and also just show off your cards. So just go by pure looks of the label or whatever you think is sort of like the best looking label in your opinion. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is these companies removing PSA, these companies right here, because these have come about because PSA has stopped their service or their service has taken so long or one of those things have happened and these companies have been born in the last year or last few months, if that. So they are very, very new. They're very new to the market in general. And my biggest fear is, will they stick around? Because that will have a massive impact on the value that these cards have if the companies go under. So looking at Good Bros, this is one company that I'm not sure about if they're even going to still be around. They potentially might come back, hence why they're included, but they might be gone. And if they are gone and they've only graded, I don't even know how many cards are graded, 1,168 they currently have. So if this is only graded 1,000 or 2,000 cards and this company goes bust, no one's going to know who this company is. Some people watching this video might not know who this company is and has no trust in their grading system of this being a grade 8. This could be just any sort of bit of plastic around a card and it holds no weight to it, especially if the company has gone under and doesn't trade anymore. So that makes it redundant. A lot of people won't want to buy it. A lot of people won't have any trust or value in it. And so it's sort of ruined that card, especially if it's a valuable card. Now, with some other companies which are still trading, still doing very well, what's their trading going to look like when this giant comes back in the game? Especially if this giant comes back and offers bulk service of $10 per card. That is going to absolutely destroy most, if not all, of its competitors in the UK. Simply because if everyone switches back to PSA, these companies won't get any customers. And they can't obviously stay alive with no business. And if they start dying off, the cards graded with these companies, once again, lose value and lose weight. Now, there's some companies which I'm not so worried about, like Ace Grading, just because they have a very big backer in terms of Randolph on YouTube. And also, of course, we have Graded Gem, also a part of this, who have a lot of knowledge around this area. And that is their new sort of business, is Ace Grading. So I don't see these guys going anywhere. And they seem to have a lot of support and have done a great job so far with their new business. So I do see some companies staying in there. But potentially some others, what's going to happen if their business goes lower and lower and lower? Will they need to combat that with adding their prices going up and up and up? And if they do become super expensive, will it be viable to go with these guys over these guys? And if PSA pull the stick out of their ass and they actually, get a very good company that's very efficient in terms of price and also performance, if you get these cards back in 30 days or 60 days or even only 3 months, why would anyone use any other company apart from PSA when it has the value, it has the speed, and also it has the value added to your card if it's graded a high grade? It it's a no-brainer. You'll just go for PSA. So I'm of the opinion of holding out and just going for PSA because I think it adds a security factor. As you saw out of all of the companies, I think this has some of the best security because it shows you pictures of the card, which is undoubtable that this card is the one in the pictures. And also it has the name behind it, adds the value. Everyone knows PSA, so it's easy to sell. There's so much around it being a positive for using PSA. But if I can't use PSA because the times are too long and the money never goes down, it's always £150 per card, which would I use? Now for me, it is a very hard choice because for security, there was some clear sort of winners out there for security and also the looks of the slabs and whatnot. Even so, I'm much more of a label man, and these two were my competitors. And I have to say, if I was to grade with any company in the UK, it's going to be Pokegrade, just because I love the label. The slab has been improved to add some security. It's very close to the PSA looking, so I think they look very well together if those are my two companies. And also the turnaround time and the price right now seems quite affordable and quite quick. So all in all, it seems like a winner. So this is my UK winner. It's Pokegrade. Otherwise, I will be using PSA. But I'd love to know what you guys think of all these companies down below in the comments. Let me know who you're going to use, who you have used, what the service was like, what the quality is like. Let me know all your thoughts and opinions down below. And if you want to see more comparison videos on the cards and the gradings and things like that, let me know also down below and I'll make more videos.